Hello audience members, thank you guys for coming today to listen to my speech about communication in the workplace. We have our audience here, we have our PowerPoint set up, and I have my handouts I'm going to give. Let me set up this here for you guys. Alrighty. So today, I want to discuss with you something very important to me, and soon you will see it in the same way I do. Let's focus our attention to a drastic turning point in our country's history that came to be due to the American dream, where thousands of immigrants traveled from their home countries and left everything they had to follow this idea of individualism and freedom. This started in the 1930s, but is still growing strong today due to research completed in the 2018 by the Immigration Stats Committee of Zong, Batalova, and Burroughs, stating that over 28% of the U.S. population is made up of immigrants, around 89.4 million people. But where does this idea of the dream really occur? It begins in the business field, whether that be in the restaurant, in the workshop, on the computer, in the office, etc. During this presentation, my goal is to teach you, my close friends I've met in high school and played football with, about the importance of effective communication in the workplace. This goes beyond what effective communication is. The presentation provides the base idea, gives examples, and goes into details of the importance of proper communication and the effects that can be caused from it. By understanding this, you'll be able to not only excel in your current job, but take the knowledge learned into future endeavors as well. Communication in the workplace can be broken down and described in three main categories: the way you talk to certain people, how you communicate in the different parts of the workplace, and the culture of the establishment. There's virtually no better way to describe it. Without these key pieces, you can guarantee yourself that there's no chance of growth in your future. But one of these key pieces must be understood first. Without the knowledge of the proper way to communicate with certain people, there is no need for workplace culture or knowledge of where to communicate. Therefore, that piece has to be started with and built upon from there. In order to understand communication, you have to understand how to talk to different people you'll most likely deal with while on the job. An important part of this is understanding how to talk to your boss or manager. Jacqueline Smith said back in 2013 on our article involving 14 tips on how to improve your relationship with your boss that they typically hold the keys to your advancement within a company, or sometimes outside as well. This tells us that the influence does not just stop within your current employment, but can also affect your future goals as well. This proves how essential it is to understand effective communication with your boss. It goes farther than just promoting your future, however. Your boss controls your work experience as well. According to Smith, again, from her same article written in 2013, your boss has a tremendous amount of influence over workplace stress, whether real or perceived. They can make the workplace exciting and something to look forward to each day, or a place that you dread visiting. This shows how important it is to properly discuss with your boss, because the effects can be drastic. It can go beyond just these two things, however. Ineffective communication can destroy everything at the end of the relationship established between a boss and their employee. The same article stated that if both parties aren't clear in communicating their experience, expectations, and giving feedback when expectations aren't met, little issues can snowball to the point where the relationship is no longer viable. Having no relationship with your boss ruins all chances of excelling in that business. The boss is more likely to help those who are closer to him over those who he doesn't necessarily know. Therefore, it is essential to maintain that relationship through proper communication. Just as it is important to know how to speak to your boss, it's of the same importance to know how to speak with those you'll see every day. Your coworkers, in order to better yourself, you have to make sure that your coworkers are effectively working together. Without this, you can never properly excel with your goals. The Forbes Coaches Council stated on an article titled 14 Ways to be More Mindful in How to Speak to Your Employees back in 2017 that consciousness will often result in clarity, so that conciseness will often result in clarity, so the other party understands what is being asked and how they can fill the need. Therefore, it is important to get straight to the point and make sure to focus on just that in order to avoid confusion and boost your stock. As well, it's important to be able to relate to your fellow coworkers. The same article stated that being open and real fosters an environment where employees feel welcome to bring their full selves to work. This means that work can get done faster and more effectively, and you can head in the right direction through your goals if you're open with those you work with. The piece that probably holds the most important is the ability to speak with those you wish to purchase your product or good, the customers. The way a company makes money is through the product they sell. Therefore, it's important to know how to speak with the customers, as they will essentially determine whether you excel or fail in the company. In 2019, Arkita Mitra wrote in her blog the 6-step guide on how to talk with customers in English that customers love to be listened to. And while listening, don't forget to make eye contact and appear deeply interested. This technique will create a happy customer and in turn help you to sell those products you need. It doesn't just stop at that, however. Mitra also said that to think of the customer as a mystery solving game, where every customer is a challenge and your goal is to come up with a solution. That makes both of you happy. Another way to help make customers happy is another way to sell items and make your boss happy, placing you in a better place for your future. Once you acknowledge the importance of how to talk to different people in the business field, you must then understand how to communicate in the workplace. How to communicate in the workplace involves much more than just how to talk to people. It's being able to understand the different places that conversations occur, the frame of the workplace that exists, and the structurization theory within the workers in the business. To start this piece, you have to understand the difference between the front region versus the back region. The front region is the area where the customers interact with the employees and require a certain etiquette. As Irvin Goffman put it on his online blog back in 2013, while the self is in the front region of the behavior, the performance of the individual embodies certain standards. These standards include politeness, willingness, and hospitality. In contrast, the same article stated that the back region is a place where the performer can expect no member of the audience will intrude, and therefore can relax and drop his or her front. Knowing the difference between the two is essential in proper communication, because you wouldn't command an employee to help you make something, and you wouldn't task an employee what he would like off the menu. Once you realize that, you have to understand that there's a frame within the workplace which resembles that similar to a lens. According to our book, Communication in Everyday Life, written by Duncan McMahon in 2018, a frame is a basic form of knowledge that provides a definition of a scenario, either because both people agree on the nature of the situation or because the cultural assumptions built into the interaction and the previous relational context of talk give them a clue. This basically tells us that a frame is a border in which people keep their conversations in and help them to determine the different ways in which someone says duck in the term avoiding an obstacle and duck in the term of the bird. In the workplace, a frame might be related to who is around you, boss, coworker, customer, or where you're located, and therefore explains how important it is to understand this topic. Because you don't want to act like you're out with friends when you're in front of customers. Within the last two topics in mind, similarity between the two is that they both tie together through the structurization theory. According to Beverly Gibbs' encyclopedia page on structuration theory, he defined that in 2017, the theory is the interface at which an actor meets a structure. This idea of structuration gives people the ability to naturally control themselves in different environments and teaches them how to act in the situations through past experiences and conditioning. In the workplace, this means that you can naturally understand the idea of a frame without realizing it, hence the meaning of it being similar to that of a lens. As well, you've built up an ability to talk to people, and now it becomes natural to you. This is the concept of the structuration theory, which shows how it builds off the other two ideas. Now we have a complete understanding of the last two topics, we can move on to the third piece, the culture of a workplace. The culture of a business is a topic completely in of itself. Well, you need to understand you need to understand the concept of the other two pieces in order to begin to grasp this. It is not necessarily built off those topics. but rather off the ideas of sedimentation, relationships, and industrial time. The first of the groups, sedimentation, builds off the culture of the workplace. In our book, Duck stated that cultural experience is sedimentation, or is therefore laid down into the organization by the workers in talks and everyday relational practices. This tells us that culture is established as bits and pieces of the ideas that workers speak with one another every day in the work environment, and begin to stick the foundation of the company. What does this then tell us? It explains that the culture of the company is everything that leads to the business goals. It explains that the culture of the company is everything that leads to the business goals that the heads hope to reach every day in production. As well, it explains that the idea of sedimentation exists in order to build up the company's goals as the good ideas stick and the negative ones continue to flow down the river. This leads us to the next idea, that relationships are essential to the culture of the establishment and help to build the workplace. Relationships in the work environment help build motivation between peers, what some may refer to as the driving piece of why they work so hard. According to the article, Relationships Matter, written by Chris Dornfield this year, relationships with coworkers were identified as the top driver of employee engagement, with 77% of these participants listing this as a priority. In order to thrive in the workplace, you have to have someone there you can rely on and have motivate you, or else the demands of the culture can become too great for a group of singular people to handle. This doesn't just stop at being motivated to work, however, as the idea of quality work has also been tested and measured. The same author states that employees with a best friend at work are 40% more likely to have been praised for the quality of their work. The quality of craftsmanship goes up when the level of friendship increases. This helps prove relationships in the workplace lead to a desired culture or company goals. The idea of company culture doesn't just stop there. It's also built off the industrial time of the workplace. The industrial time is defined by Duck in our book as the attention to punctuality and dedication to a task that is connected with the nature of the industry. This means that the preciseness of orders being made and delivered on time, the appointments being handled on time, etc., are all essential as they build to the company's goals or the culture of the company. It can be as simple as showing up 5 minutes early to a shift, or as big as completing an order 2 weeks early, and every little detail affects it. Without the establishment of culture of business, the workforce would have no direction and therefore couldn't be of assistance to anyone else, in theory, losing its credibility of being a workplace. It wouldn't be able to focus its conversation towards one goal and would fail as a company. Many things go into effectively communicating in a workplace. So much so that there's plenty of details missed in this presentation. With that being said, 3 different key parts in effective communication include the study of a culture or workplace, the method of talking to different people with varied importance, and how you communicate in the different parts of the business. Through the presentation, the audience learned the importance of effective communication, not just the importance of the individual parts, but how all the parts work together to produce the best possible outcome, the best possible communication within the work environment. The audience discovered the importance of these 3 topics when it comes to effective business communication and how they build up one another. The workplace is a location in which one can either build his or her reputation or destroy it. Every year, around 140,000 employable green cards are distributed according to a 2016 study. How are you going to set yourself apart in the workforce when 140,000 jobs are taken every year? Thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk. I hope you guys appreciated it. I'm sorry about the length.